Joe Hopkins here, and today I have a day off from my ever-present employment. Ever-present employment. Do some of you guys have that? Some of us have something known as ever-present employment. That means I work a full-time job plus. Full-time job plus. I usually work about 74 to 76 hours of overtime in a 2-week period. That means I'm working more. I'm working more, more, but I have a week off. So my week off, I got some Natty Light. Cause I always wondered, why bother with light beer? And then I started getting older, and you get bloated, right? So I'm drinking this, and I found some Cool Ranch Doritos that my cousin bought. My cousin is visiting. I certainly hope she wasn't planning on eating those Doritos, because I ate them. I ate the Doritos. And it's what I do when I have a whole week off. Well, a week. I mean, a week, 7 days. I have 4 days. I'll count that as a week. That's a week to me. And, if you guys find yourselves with some time off, I would suggest you crack a beer and get some Cool Ranch Doritos. They go really well together. So I'm chilling, right? Just chilling out. I thought I'd post. I mean, this is probably shit content, but what the hell? And I was musing in my brain about this whole having time off. And I know quite a few people. I know a number of people who are, to a degree, unemployed. Some people are unemployable. And I was wondering, how is that happening now? In this day and age, at the moment, mostly because if you need a job, my employer will hire you. They're making us work overtime. We're so short-staffed, it's not even funny. And everywhere I look, everybody is short-staffed. Yet the unemployment rate currently is 4.3%. And I was wondering why that is. And now keep in mind, the unemployment rate does not include people who have more or less given up on seeking employment for an extended period of time, to the point where they're no longer included in the unemployment rate, right? So that's not everybody. It's not including everybody. Come work where I work. We need people. I watch people come to my job and quit after a couple months. And I don't know, my job's hard, but it's not. It's one of those jobs where I get it. It really isn't for everybody. But I remember 20 years ago when people would get this job and they would stick it out. They'd be miserable. This job isn't for them, but they'd stick it out because you need a job. And nobody does that anymore. Nobody, if you're like, I don't like this job, you quit. I watch people quit. They just quit. Now, like I said, I have a job that it's not physically demanding most of the time, but it's a weird job. It's weird. You deal with weird stuff, and it's not for everybody, right? Weird. I make that sound like, like normal weird. It's not. It's weird. And it's a strange gig. And I get that it's not for everybody. And I have seen people stick it out who had to, that really it wasn't for them, and I feel bad for them. But I hear a lot of people these days talking about how hard it is to find a job. And I mean, literally everybody's hiring. And there was a time when, I'd feel bad for people to a degree. It's like, I know what you mean, man. It can be hard to find a job. No, it was hard to find a job a long time ago, like 30 years ago, when I was trying to stay employed and sometimes having difficulty with it. It was hard to find a job at times. And even then, I stayed employed. I mean, I worked a lot of really shitty jobs for very little money just because there was nothing else. But now, my God, there's a lot of jobs. There's a lot of jobs. I got to looking. I don't want to trade up my job just because I'm getting older and my job is physically undemanding and I have seniority there. And that helps, you know. But there's a lot of work. There's a lot of jobs out there, a lot of them. And they pay pretty good these days, even taking inflation into account. I know, inflation, right? Everything costs more now, but still, they're not bad jobs. And nobody, I don't know, man. People just don't want to work anymore. They want to live at home all their lives. They want to live with their parents. I'm supposed to support, you know, us old guys are supposed to support our kids forever. Now, my kid is turning 11 here shortly, so I don't expect her to get a job, even though I had a job at her age. That's the weird thing. I started working at the age of like 5 and pretty much stayed regularly employed until now. And I'm still employed plus. I work a full-time job plus. And I've done that since I was half my kid's age. But people now, I don't know. This is just a rant. I'm just ranting, I guess. But it is, I don't know. I'm finding less and less sympathy these days, especially since at my job, we don't have enough people to really function. We don't have enough employees to. Now, part of that is the policies of my employer have made it hard to hire. They don't hire. There were plenty of people that wanted this job 10 years ago, and it's gotten less and less and less because you tell everybody no, and they stop reapplying, and they told everybody in this area no. So they stopped. They just took it as a no. If you apply 3-4 times, you'll get the job, you know? But people don't know that. But yeah, there's everybody's going through a staffing crisis these days. And I don't know, man. I see a lot of people that just don't want a job. And the only reason the unemployment rate is as low as it is because there are a significant number of people who are underemployed who aren't unemployed. They're not unemployed. They're not really working enough. It used to be underemployed meant you were busting your ass just to get by because you weren't getting paid enough. Now underemployed means you just don't want the hours. Like, the hours are available. There was a time when if you said to me, do you want to work some overtime? My answer was, yeah. And I went through a period of time where it was, no, I'm making enough on my base pay. I'm good. Now I don't get to say no, but I also, I want the money again. I'm working, right? I say, hell yeah, I want the overtime. They've limited my overtime. Where I work, you can't go over a certain amount of overtime. It's why my overtime is where it is. And I'm watching as like these kids are trying to avoid working an extra shift. You know, it's, dude, I'm working like 4 or 5 extra shifts a week. Damn. I don't know what happened. What is the deal with? I'm not one for putting down the generation coming up behind me. I'm really not. I like their music. I like their sensibilities. My kid's becoming a teenager. I like the things that the current teenagers like. I think it's cool. You know, I never really, I don't know. I guess I never really grew up in that way. I never really solidified. I like new things. But I'm wondering what it is with the younger generation and employment is just, you got to support yourself and your family. I got a family, right? I got mouths to feed. I got bills to pay. I don't know how in the world you can get away with just not. You shrug your shoulders, go, meh, who cares? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that one out. I'm trying to figure out how these people are staying housed and fed, especially the underemployed. The ones who I guess are just working barely enough to get by. I guess they're working under that threshold where they can still collect welfare. I don't know. You know? And I'm not all for canceling welfare, man. I have friends and relatives on welfare who need it. Legitimately, they can't work. You know, I got people with health problems. I got people with, mental problems. Like, they can't do it. They can't function. And yeah, it's good that there's assistance for that. But I'm wondering if some of these people that get they could. You can do it. I'm saying this from somebody that watches new people come into my job who are doing good at it, who are functioning. Like, you can do this. You got this, and it's good money. And they're like, meh, not for me. What's funny is it seems like when we get somebody who shows up and they're a total train wreck, they can't do this job at all. Those ones stay. They stick around. And good for them. I mean, I don't blame anybody for being a train wreck at any particular job, right? Not every job is for everybody, but you find something that pays good where they'll let you stay there even though you suck at it, yeah, I don't blame you for taking advantage of that. Not at all. Not one bit. Yeah, if it pays good and they'll let you stay, even though you're terrible at it, more power to you, bud. More power to you. And I know the complaints, it makes it harder on everybody else, but still, how hard is it really? Some jobs, it really is harder. Mine, it's like, you're making my job marginally more difficult, and it wasn't that difficult to begin with most of the time. I say most of the time. I work one of those odd kind of jobs where it's easy. My job is easy 90% of the time. It's that other 10%. It is. Anybody who's seen my channel, they know what I do for a living. If you haven't seen this before, I'll tell you, I'm not going to give you specifics. I work in corrections. That means prisons, right? So my job most of the time is just sitting there watching people live their lives, right? Because that's what people in prison do. They're living their lives. They watch TV. They cook some ramen noodles in the microwave. They open a bag of chips. They're just hanging out, bullshitting around. They're walking here. They're walking there. It's not like it's just watching people do things most of the time. And then 10% of the time, it's weird. And not like in the chaos and bloodshed weird. That happens. But that's actually kind of exciting. No, it's just in the off-putting, people do weird things. Like, not even like the really psychotic, like crazy criminal weird things. Just imagine some of the weird stuff you've done, just hanging out at your house. And imagine if somebody had to watch you do it. I've done some weird shit in my day. I'm home alone. I'm doing weird shit. I'm just, But then it's my job to walk around the tier and look in people's windows, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm peeping in your window. I mean, these dudes are locked up, so I have to keep an eye on them. I have to make sure everything's solid. So I'm walk down the tier, look in the cell windows. I'm peeking in their windows. Imagine if somebody just peeked in your window one day. What would they see you doing? Just when you're chilling out by yourself. Maybe you're just sitting there watching TV. But we all know we've done some weird things. Weird things. yeah, so especially if you're a little drunk, a little high, it's prison. These guys, they get drugs in there, they make alcohol. Imagine the dumbest thing you've done drunk, and just imagine somebody peeked in your window and saw you doing it. That's what I do. That's part of my job. So that and the nudity, because there are a lot of situations where I have to see you naked at my job. That's weird. It's why I understand if some people are like, no, I don't want to work here. I've seen a lot of naked dudes. It's part of the gig, because, if you come up for a visit, your girlfriend or wife comes in and visits you, they might have passed you something you're not supposed to have. I have to see you naked. I have you take off your clothes and lift your junk, and I got to look in your butt and all that good stuff. And so it's off-putting to a lot of people. You get used to it after a while, right? Whatever, it's just routine, but it's funny to say that, because I know some people are thinking, man, that's routine, you're a sicko. But no, it is. It's routine. And for anybody that thinks that's totally unnecessary, I found some weird stuff on people. Yeah, not to mention the standard drugs, weapons, cell phones. You're not allowed to have a cell phone in there. That kind of stuff. But yeah, just imagine at your weirdest moment, somebody peeked in your window and saw you. That I get to do that regularly. And, I've been handling that for a long time now. And I find a lot of people, they show up and a month in, they're like, I can't handle this. It's like, actually, like I said, a lot of the guys that quit, it's like, you're doing good. Come on, you're one of the better people here. Don't quit. Don't quit, man. You're actually good at this, But they quit. And I think part of it is just a lot of people don't want to actually go to work anymore. And, it blows my mind. How in the world? I look at a lot of the jobs out there, pretty good. I mean, there are a lot of good jobs available and nobody wants to work them. Our unemployment rate is too high, considering the staffing crisis that most places are facing. Very few businesses now, government agencies, anything. Very few places have enough employees. Everybody is short, and there really shouldn't be any unemployment. Now, there are a few exceptions, right? For instance, like my cousin, he collects unemployment periodically. He's a plumber with the pipe fitters union. And if the company he's working for, or the union or whatever, doesn't get the next bid in time, it might be a month or two between jobs. That's unemployment, right? He's employed. He's just, his boss didn't get the job right at the moment. They'll get the contract at some point. That's different. He is employed, right? But you don't always have employment when you're employed. That kind of sucks. It's part of why I took the job I did. Why do I want to work in corrections? Because I worked construction. I don't want to have to worry about the boss getting the next contract. You know what I mean? That's a pain in the ass. But so anyway, I got a little rant there. I finished my Natty Light. I guess my 7th or 8th, something like that. And I'm probably going to have some more. And before any of you people start calling me an alcoholic, I'm not. I only drink on my days off. I don't get that many. All right? Usually I shoot videos when I'm off. It's also when I'm drinking. There you go. And yeah, I hope you like my rant. Tell me what you think. Should more people be employed, or am I being too harsh on the kids these days, right? Ooh, the kids these days. I like the kids these days. I really do. I just think they need to get fucking jobs, man. Come on. Come get a job, man. There are jobs. We need you where I work. Come work with me. We'll teach you how to do weird stuff and look in people's windows and peek at them. It's a little fucking psycho, but whatever. If you're not at least a little psycho, you can't get by in the world. This world breaks you down. It makes you nuts. Or maybe I already was. Maybe I started out a little crazy. I don't know. Either way, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, baby. Bye-bye.